welcome to another up close video. Today's one is another one looking at a Tonic collection of dies. This is the Spring Frames collection. So the idea is kind of similar to a few die sets that Tonic has released in the past, where the inside portions are all the same size, so you can mix and match them. I really love that, and I made one card. Well, I love all the cards I made, but there was specifically a square one that I made, layering up the three sort of central portions of the die set, and I really love how it turned out. And the fact that you get all of these different ones that mix and match together means, like, if you do a card like that, you can recreate it but make it look completely different because you can use a different combination of the dies, which I really love about these kind of dies. And in the past, a little while ago, I think it was called Classic Circles, perhaps, and it was a really large 8x8 circle layering die set, and I think you had a few smaller circle layers right in the centre. But if you like smaller cards like I do, these circle layers are absolutely perfect for smaller cards as well. I know you get the outside pieces, which will enable you to make bigger cards, or you can actually cut the big pieces down into smaller pieces as well, which I'll show you on a couple of my cards, where I've used like the foliage and the small flowers off of this one, the larger flowers, to create a whole wreath design. And also on one of them I've used just portions of this one to decorate part of the background as well. And obviously you can mix and match and do that with all of the different designs too. So the first one I will show you is this one, which has got like a bee theme, and you can see right in the centre there is a flower with a bee and a honeycomb pattern, and then this die set in particular has dotted circles, so you can see there's little dotted lines on all of the 1, 2, 3, 4 circles that radiate out from the centre, and they're almost equidistant from each other. I think this gap is slightly smaller, but so you've got a really nice set of nesting circles. You know, if you're starting out and you want a really versatile die set that can do basic circles but can also look really fancy and elaborate and create you some large cards as well, I think these die sets are really brilliant for that. Then you move out to the next layer and you've got a verso die. So you actually have 3 different verso dies which fit in between those nesting circles. Oh, the middle one's verso as well. But you've got 3 different verso dies that fit in between those nesting circles to give you different frame elements, or you can just use them all together to create a really intricate doily kind of die cut. So you have this one, which is sort of like little rectangles all the way around. This one kind of emulates a sunflower to me. They kind of look like petals. And then the next one is little rectangles again. And then the outside of this one mimics the bee from the centre, and the bees are really nice to cut out and use. I've mainly been cutting the bee from the centre, but you could also cut the 4 bees from the frame element as well. And the way they've done it is actually a repeating one. So at the quarter marks, that is a repeated pattern all the way around, which is really nice. So I'll just zoom up on that 1/4. And you see you get the bee, 2 scribbly flowers, another scribbly flower, honeycomb, and then like a leaf that sort of divides the design at the quarters as well. But I really love this just random honeycomb that's in there. Obviously it goes with the bee, but I just love how it doesn't completely cover the background, it's just sort of little portions of it. So that is the whole frame element on that one, and that actually has an outside edge to it. It has the outside edges on the die, but you also get an extra outside edge that's slightly bigger. So you could create your card blank with this if you wanted a shaped card blank, or you can create a solid mat to stick behind the large outside one as well. Whatever kind of cards you like to make, there's options to do whatever you like to do. So that's the first one. And then we have this one, which kind of has kind of like daisies, I suppose, in the middle as the little design. It's kind of tricky for me to show you, but I think yeah, I've used it on a card, so you'll be able to see that cut out. And then again, you have the 4 nesting circles that each have, or that have 3 verso dies between them. And the nesting circles in this set are scalloped circles. So they've really thought about giving you different circles. So if you buy all of them, you're not stuck with 3 sets of the same sized circles, if you know what I mean. So the first one coming out has got sort of like ovals and little weird squishy rectangles, but it looks really lovely when you cut it out. I'll show you that on a card. This one is a cool stripy design, which is really lovely. And then you have that sort of squishy rectangle in the final one to match the inner one too. And then the design is like quartered, so they've repeated the pattern around the quarters, which is really lovely. And this one has got floral elements within it, which I've actually used to create a wreath. So if I show you this quarter, you've got more of an open flower, you've got a half flower, you've got multiple little buds in there, a little tiny flower, another little flower, and leafy and swirly sort of designs connecting it all together. So that's this one. And then the final one, right in the centre, you kind of have tulip design in there. Again, I've used that on the card, so I'll show you that one cut out. And this one, you have obviously the 4 nesting circles, but they're completely just a plain edged circle in this one. So definitely a really good beginner's die set if you're just getting into die cutting. And then the patterns going out. I really love one of these ones. It's really cool. This one kind of looks like little petals. They're kind of like a rectangle, but they've got a rounded top, so like an archway kind of a look. I love this one. So it's like a random crazy patchwork kind of a look, really, with all the random triangles. I think that would look wonderful paper pieced. I didn't actually do it in any of my cards, but I think paper piecing that would look brilliant. And then the final one is loads of little triangles, one up one way, one up the other way, all the way around, which is really pretty. I don't think I cut that one. I don't think I did cut that one. Anyway, and then the outside of this one is another one of the ones I used to create a wreath with, because it's got 2 quite distinct and easy to cut out leaf elements and a little cluster of small flowers in it as well. So it's really great for cutting up this one too. And again, the pattern repeats on the quarter as well. Although, two of them actually. Well, the little flowers are a tiny bit different. So if you're actually putting this on the final backing plate, it does fit a specific way around. I don't know if that makes sense, but these little flowers are how you can tell. See, that flower looks like that flower, but when you turn around here, the petals don't seem to be quite as long on it. So I think it's like maybe it only goes 2 ways up. But anyway, it's basically symmetrical. There's just a tiny little difference in it. If I show you the quarter design, that gorgeous little cluster of flowers which I've used on the wreath card, and again, that's one of the big leaves that I was cutting out, and this one is the other leafy design. And then you've sort of got some buds and other smaller leaves joining the whole pattern together, and then that goes all the way around the circle design. So those are the 3 die sets. And then these are the cards that I created with them. So I did a really, really simple one. This was using Nouveau shimmer powders in the background. This was the, I can't remember the name, Meteorite Shower, and then it was Lilac Waterfall at the bottom, and then Violet Brocade in the middle. So you got a really cool ombre of really pearly shimmer powders, and basically all I did was just water them down into a watercolour and then do a washy background. And I did an extra piece of card with the same colours so that I could cut this circular element out. This one is that one that I said was like a daisy design. That's what that one looks like when you cut it out. And then for this one I actually just used 2 parts of the outside, and like the easiest way, or the way I was actually doing it, instead of having to cut the entire circle and then having some bits left over that you might not use, just take a piece of white card that is maybe just wider than your final card you want it to be, and the sort of depth you want the border to come into your card, and just cut out 2 small portions of the die rather than having to cut the whole thing out. And then I just decorated with the silver crystals, Nouveau crystal drops, Nouveau glitter drops. This one came in the Merry and Bright colour trend. I really like this one. And I just did sort of dots in the centres of the flowers, which kind of picked up some of the shimmer powder in the flowers, and then some more dots around these sort of semicircular pieces, just to sort of give them a little bit of interest. And this is one of the vertical sentiments that Tonic has done. I think they have vertical and horizontal in both packages. I really love the thanks one. I just thought it would go really nicely, and I just put it on a strip of ripped vellum to make it stand out. And you could easily make this into a shaker card design as well if you wanted to. I did just add it with a bit of foam, and I just kept it really simple, just to like white and then the purpley blue ombre colours, but I really like how that one turned out. Then I was kind of doing an Egyptian sort of colour scheme for this one with like blues and gold. I used a couple of different aqua flows to create the initial blue stripy background, and then the gold is the golden sparkler Nouveau shimmer powder, and again I watered it down and just painted with it like it was an acrylic, like a watercolour. And I also used any leftovers to colour another piece of card, which I then used for the first two layers. One is underneath and one is the actual design. I think this one would look really nice with a bit of paper piecing in it as well. If you got maybe one of Tonic's specialty, like a blue glitter card, or one of their like satin mirror cards, and just pieced in a few little pieces, I think that would look really lovely in this one too. This one is actually a shaker card. However, it's a very staticky shaker card, and they've all kind of just stuck to the back of the acetate, but it was a shaker card. And this is that tulip design, and to try and pull out the tulip design in there, I used a little bit of Bohemian Teal Nouveau Vintage drops, and I just filled in the two tulip heads because the colour kind of matches the lighter stripe I've used on the outside. And I used one of the sentiment strips as my sentiment, and it says hugs and kisses. And so all of this actually, not the central piece, but this and this are both out of the same piece of card. So I cut the outside, so looking at the gold one, I cut the outside, the next one, and the next one of the circles, and then put the detail in the outside one. And then I did the same thing for the white, but I put the detail on the inside one. So you then have two layers to work together, and you flip them up the other way. So you put the gold on the white and then the white on the gold, to give that kind of cool layered look and save some card in the process as well. And then for the final flower in the background, I cut the flowers out of another piece of white card, and then stuck that behind it. But you could also have just used the central section there as well, and done it that way to save more card too. So yeah, loads of different ways to lay these up, and again you can mix that across the entire collection, so you can do so many different combinations of the two different patterns. And if you like your bigger cards, you can add the third design around the edge of it as well. Then this is my one that I really love. It was so simple to do. It's just using grey and yellow cardstock, but I just really loved how it turned out. It just looks so cool. And again, you can mix and match all of them, so you can do like a really you could do a whole set of cards with all the different combinations. And this outside one, I was going to do it, and then I stuck it on the card and I was like, oh no, I hadn't done it. But this outside one would be perfect for weaving ribbon in and out of. So you could, this looks quite masculine as it is, I think. But to make this kind of a design more feminine, you could weave the ribbon and then like tie a bow at the bottom of it, and then maybe put that on a longer rectangular card rather than a square card. I think that would look really nice. But this was literally just cutting the different layers and layering them on top of each other. And then for the centre one, the grey one, I made sure I cut out the middle so I could then see the yellow underneath it again. So that yellow piece is continuous across there. And then I used the Thanks for Everything sentiment, which is from one of the floral frames die sets. And then I used 3 of the Silver Petal Nouveau gems, and I also used the Nouveau crystal drops in gloss white and then liquid mercury as well to tie in with the two colours. I did a little bit of faux stitching, and the card in the background, it was actually just a scrap that I had, and I was like, oh, that might look quite cool if I just put like a slanted piece on there. So this is the candy stripe silver foiled grey craft card. I'm pretty sure this came out in the Merry and Bright colour trend of the Craft Perfect, but I just added that in the background. Really like this one. Then I got all like inky and messy for this one, and I was focusing on the bee one. And I did 3 of the focal elements of the bees, and I did cut them out of gold, and then I shadowed them with white underneath so they stand out a little bit more. And then this one I also stuck brown underneath it so you can see that white shadow, and this one stood out more because it's like the focal element. And then here, this is where I used portions of the bee outside piece. And so I just cut 2 little portions of it and stuck them at the top and the bottom. And then this is where I've cut one of the bees out of the central circle, because I put the 3 circles on and then I was like, I've basically covered up all the bees on them. So I decided to cut an extra bee out so it's evident why it says "Be Happy" on it. And I cut it out of white, and then I cut it out of brown and shadowed them, and then I put a little bit of gold behind its tummy as well. And the background was just done with Aquaflows and glitter, Nouveau glitter markers as well. I just like scribbled it all on my glass cutting mat and then squished the card into it. And then all of the little hexagons in the background are all of the waste pieces. So from the gold and the white that I shadowed it with, you get the larger hexagons, and from the border piece that I cut out of brown, you get the smaller little hexagons out of it. So that's how I did that one. And then finally, this is the one I created a wreath with the design as well. I think I basically mixed all 3 of them together for this one, but I was using this one that's here to create the main base to go off of. So this is cut from vellum, and I actually offset the centerpiece, so here it looks like they're really close together, but here obviously you had an extra die between them, so the 2 designs aren't that close together. But on this side that you can't see because I covered it, the gap gets wider, so I made it so that the smaller gap where it looks like a nice continuous design is showing, and where there was a bigger gap where because I'd offset it, that's all hidden. I thought that was a cool thing to do. And yeah, I've used the leaves from one of the outside designs, and these small flowers are from that same design. And then the larger pink flowers are from the outside of this one. And I just cut them up in different clusters because you get the same pattern 4 times around the frame. And then I used the bee from the bee set as well, and I just coloured that with alcohol pens and used some of the Silver Crystals Nouveau crystal drops or glitter drops on the wings. And then I used a Hello Beautiful sentiment, which is from one of the floral frames die sets as well, and I tapped on some of that silver crystals onto it as well to give it a little bit of sparkle. And the background actually for this one, I was using one of the Nouveau blending brushes, one of the double-ended brushes, and some of the Coastal Surf Nouveau embellishment mousse, and I was basically using it as if it was like a distress ink or something that you would usually use to blend on the background, and I think it gives a really cool look. And then I just scooped out a little bit of that mousse, watered it down and flicked some in the background too, and I used a white gel pen to add some little white sort of dots in there as well, and I just stuck some gems on the flowers. You could also use Nouveau drops too, although there are holes in the centres of the flowers, so it does give a different look when you use a Nouveau drop because it kind of sinks through the hole. But if that does happen to you, you can just put another one on top and it will cover up the little sunken bit. So I hope you enjoyed this up close look at these spring frame die sets, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing a few examples of, I suppose they're kind of different ways to use the die set, because I haven't actually used the whole die set as a whole, like the outside piece. I haven't used it as a big piece because I do prefer smaller cards. So when I see a big die set, I want to show you how you can use that for your smaller cards as well if you're not into bigger cards like me. But I really love how they turned out, so I hope you did too. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye!